PBS is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. Tomorrow's news today.
Yeah, even Fox News, the most trusted name in news, said objectively I was hot. So I guess there's that. 8 new pieces today. 8 pieces? That's crazy, bro. That's too many pieces. That's too much mustard. This site is getting a lot of utility. Fox and Friends did a segment on YouTube. Brian Kilmeade was talking about how dangerous you are, but nothing uploaded on YouTube. Again, I don't understand how we can exist in this kind of insane media environment. But Fox News. Wait, well, I'm scrolling, but it's not showing. Where are the latest ones? Washington Examiner, 1 hour ago. Will the Democrats embrace hating America in 2028? Washington Examiner, another hour ago. Democrats have normalized political violence. The New York Times. The Wall Street Journal, when rationalization turns deadly. It's very strange. It's a very strange phenomena where all of these guys, on the one hand, are frustrated with the lack of credibility that the media has, but also on the other hand, they're just like playing fast and loose with these kinds of narratives that make no sense. It is what it is, I guess. Fox rarely puts you on their main channel, but there's a few clips on their clips channel. I like that. That's like Fox News and Asmongold have the same media strategy. Try refreshing, Control-Shift-R. Oh, Jewish Telegraph Agency. That one came out? That was supposed to be an interview that I did. That one's actually interesting. I want to see how people react to that one. Hasan Piker favors Hamas, is pushing Dems to be anti-Israel, and wants Jews not to worry about him. An interview with the influencer gaining ground with liberals and alarming Jewish leaders. That's a crazy title for it. Oh my God. I had like a almost 2-hour conversation with Andrew Lepin. That's awesome though. That's a funny title for it. Hold on. I mean, I knew this was going to be like somewhat contentious because it's the Jewish Telegraphic Agency. Andrew's the guy. He's actually fairly woke, for the record. Like he's not. This is not like a super aggressive reporter, but you know. In an interview with the ascendant Hasan Piker, who insists he's not anti-Semitic. What's the link to this website with all these articles? Is Hasan Abi M44C hasanabi.m44.cl. Republicans are sinking, but Democrats aren't rising. Yahoo Finance. I'm pro piracy all the way. Influencer Hasan Piker and others debate micro looting. What the hell is this, man? This is. I'm eating it from every angle. It's like Bloomberg. What Hasan Piker's statements about patents implies for the future of patents. Like they're gonna be talking about me on I don't know, like Kitchen Weekly. Hasan Piker eats chicken the wrong way. What this says about the consumption of chicken. This never gets old.
We'll have order in the hearing room, or you'll be asked to leave. Ma'am, if you'll please take a seat, or we'll have to have you. Then you'll need to relieve.
Donald Trump, help us. Please help us, Mr. President, before it is too late, because Jack Dorsey is trying to influence the election.
It's so crazy because, like, she won in the end, right? Like, she won. She did all of this. She was ritualistically humiliated. And at the end, it didn't matter. Because she won. Anyway, we're blasting off, folks. We're blasting off. Another day. Another 17 quintillion articles. Sky News Australia. Oh, this is the crazy lady, right? That wrote this, I assume. Yeah, Rita Panahi. Hasan Piker is complicit in the rise. This is Rupert Murdoch. This lady hates me, bro. This is she's Australian and she's also a stooge for Rupert Murdoch. She's irrelevant. This is the loony leftist losing it. Hasan Piker is a dangerous anti-Semite. Hasan Piker is a dangerous anti-Semite. On this week of lefties losing it, Hasan Piker, how seasoned is too seasoned? Today on the Feud Network. Auto Trader sitting in the wings, hoping he will say something about used cars so they can dogpile on this trend. Yeah. Loony lefties losing it. Hasan Piker is complicit in the rise of political violence in the US. I'm here with Newsweek's senior editor at large, Josh Hemmer, that says there's a movement in the US teaching people that words are violence. Mr. Hemmer told Sky News host Rita Panahi that the left is trying to make words and violence interchangeable, and you have these streamers like Hasan Piker who are now openly advocating for it. Wait, words are violence? Wait, these guys are like hurting themselves in confusion. I thought it was now the right that was complaining that words are violence, and therefore someone needs to do something about me. Isn't it funny how Australia feels relevant? I mean, it's hilarious to me that Australian news thinks that they can gain any relevance this way, but on this week of lefties losing it, Hasan Piker. She lives in America. We don't claim her. Sorry, with this accent?
It's not. It's not. And he also wants us to believe the virulently anti-American forces that hate President Trump, hate him so much that they're now siding with the Iranian regime. Well, we must believe that they actually really deep down love America.
You're going to tell me with the accent like that she's American? I'm sorry. That's like wearing your fucking passport on your face. Okay? Sorry, big dog. Crikey. That's one of yours guys. Right? Or no. Or no. This lady could live anywhere she wants to live. And it doesn't matter. She's always going to be an Aussie down to the core, mate. By the way, why is an Australian news broadcaster for skynews.com.australia talking about anti-American hatred demonstrated by the American Democratic Party against the American Republican president, Donald J. Trump? What are we doing here? Okay? Like, lady, don't you have a dingo story to cover? Why are you talking about Hasan Piker? It doesn't make any sense. Why is this lady defending the American Republican Party over the American Democratic Party? Like, this is not a thing for you. If anything, it's not beneficial for you to defend Donald Trump at all. What the hell are you talking about? Go cover the Wallabies. Go cover the Wallabies. And the dingo's eating a baby. Rupert Murdoch is the owner of this media company. Anyway, I'm not even going to fucking dignify that with a reaction. We're a client state, mate. I know. It's just still funny when the youngsters aren't going to get the dingo joke. You think youngsters don't know about a dingo ate my baby? Put the shrimp on the barbie. A dingo ate my baby. That's like, Do Zoomers not know that? Is that you or her talking? Chatter's like, I'm on audio only. I can't tell. I can't tell if it's you talking or if it's her talking. You're so fucking old, bro. No. I'm just saying, I don't get over here on my podium and talk about the devastating losses that the Australian forces received in the fucking Emu Wars. Okay? I'm not here talking about Albanese. Albanese. Okay, maybe I am sometimes. A dingo actually eat that baby though? Yeah. Babies are dingoes meat on the Barbie. Anyway, I'm excited to hear about this Jewish Telegraphic Agency article and like what came out of it. And I also want to see what like people will say. Dem's response is working against real organized resistance by jumping on any act of resistance, calling it evil and glazing the cops. Turns out the dingo story was true. They found the kid's remains in a dingo den. Fucking hell. These dingoes, after the emu wars are over, we should do a dingo war as well. Fucking hell. Slam a couple of VB long necks in the morning and then go take out a fucking dingo den. Fucking hell. Fucking hell. Slam a couple of VB long necks and then take out the fucking dingo den. Mate. Beulah Jr., thank you for the 20 fucking gifted subs. Anyway. Man, the liberal media on the periphery of the U.S. regime are your biggest cheerleaders. I remember when Biden pulled out of Afghanistan, the Brazilian liberal media went crazy over him, even more than CNN and Fox News. Yeah. What is this? Hasan, I have been a long-term community member, but I'm leaving today. I have fallen off stairs today while putting on my pants. Got taken to the hospital. I have a surgery tomorrow. I have laughed at people saying you are the only one to blame. You are the one to blame to violence because I wasn't the one who you were causing violence to. Today, I realized that even I can become the target of your violence and violent rhetoric when I fell down those stairs. Here you go, chatter. Anyway, let's get back to Laura Loomer. Lefties losing it. Laura fucking Loomer.
What's she saying? I can't understand her. What?
That is why she's censoring and shadow banning.
How about a Dan? 12 and a half, 15, 7 and a half, $20, 2 and a half, 5, 7 and a half, 30. Hit $30 down here, 2 and a half, 5, 35, 7 and a half, 40. Hit $40, 2 and a half, 5, 45, 7 and a half, 50. Hit $50 down here, 2 and a half. Officer, will you escort this young lady out, please? Hit 2 and a half now, 5, 65, 7 and a half, 70. Up 2 and a half now, 5, 75, 7 and a half, $80 to 5, 85, 90. Hit $100 and a 10, 10 a quarter, 1 to quarter, 1 half, and about 2, 2 and a quarter. Hit 2 and a half, and about 3, able to bomb 300. Hit 3 and a quarter. Hit 3 and a quarter now, half, 3 and a half, and about 400. Yeah, but the 4 and a quarter, 4 and a half. We're selling the cell phone there, 4 and a quarter, 4 and a half. Hit 4 and a half, we're 75, 505, 5 and a quarter, 5 and a half. I yield back.
Incredible work. Oh, wait. Someone's at the door. Hold on. It's not Mossad. It's housekeeping.
Somehow I think our auctioneer in residence going to get tweeted about today.
Yeah. Okay. Bro is waiting for the chance to show off his auctioneer skills. I mean, yeah, he's done that before, which, you know, I respect. By the way, this one got 700,000 views. We're so back. Agents pulled out guns and began running towards the ballroom. White-jacketed caterers screamed and bolted for stairwells. Pandemonium reigned as top cabinet officials were evacuated. Robert Kennedy Jr. and his wife, Cheryl Hines, came out and were ushered into an elevator. Then Janine Perot emerged. The FBI director, Kash Patel, came tearing across the hallway with 2 men in tow. His girlfriend was hiding in a room with another man who was holding her hand. Oh! Kash Patel is both fired and cooked at the same night, bro. Ooh, sure. Oh, my God. Stop spoiling the new episode of The Boys. Anyway, I'm making a spaghetti squash. That is so fake. So fake. Wait, what? Oh, they're talking about the attempt. I was like, what? The story's not faked. Literally people just sitting at their tables unbothered. Yeah, everyone on TikTok, everyone on LibTalk, everyone on Twitter, virtually every fucking liberal is like, yeah, this shit was fake, dude. And that's all I got. They're faking this for the ballroom. And guess what, dude? I don't think you realize how funny you are when you go live. Thank you, chatter. I don't realize how funny I am. Okay? I don't. I think I'm unfunny. I tried to be as funny. I know it's not staged. I know it's not staged, but I don't care if libs say it's fake. Oh yeah, me too. I like it. I like it. It's Republicans are getting a taste of their own medicine over and over again, and it's unironically, it's like fighting fire with fire, right? Because Republicans are clearly engaging in misinformation as they always do. They're trying to turn this entire thing into like, I don't know, the left is so radical, the left is so violent, blah blah blah. And it's failing. It actually does not have any salience any longer, because the entirety of the liberal media ecosystem, not the media ecosystem necessarily, but the entirety of like liberals that are receiving this information are going, no, this is just for the ballroom. But in any case, let's get to this Jewish Telegraphic Agency .org. Hasan Piker favors Hamas, is pushing Dems to be anti-Israel, and wants Jews not to worry about him. An interview with the influencer gaining ground with liberals and alarming Jewish leaders. This is from Andrew Lepin, who asked me the question about Rabbi Shmuley, but he had sent a request to interview me when I was doing the Abdul El-Sayed stump, but we didn't see it until later, and I hit him up, and I was like, listen, I'd love to talk to you if you want, and I did a sit down with him for like an hour, and I want to see what this is going to be. I'm trying to do the rounds here. I'm trying to reach out to the Jewish Council of Elders so they realize that I'm not a threat, but let's see if it works, okay? I'm trying to do a media push on the Jewish side of media. People are probably going to yell at me for having this conversation, as Hasan Piker said from his live streaming chair midway through a video call with the Jewish Telegraphic Agency to discuss his views on Jews, Israel, and Zionism. By people, Piker meant his own. The 3 million followers he boasts on the streaming site Twitch, where the left-wing personality from the same chair opines politics in between video game sessions for up to 8 hours a day. That doesn't include the many more who watch clips of his show on YouTube or follow him on X. People are going to say, what are you doing? This is Jewish exceptionalism. Why do you care so much about making sure that Jews like you? He continued. The 34-year-old New Jersey native, who was recently rocketed into the center of the Democratic Party's identity crisis, then answered his own question. I still think that there's value in reaching as many people as possible and helping them understand where I'm coming from, he said. So they're not freaking out when they see their nieces or nephews watching me on Twitch, and then they think that their sons or daughters or nieces or nephews have turned into neo-Nazis. That's why I'm having this conversation with you, he added, so that more people can hear something in the Jewish newspapers that isn't just, this guy's a heinous anti-Semite. Piker is an avowed anti-Zionist who has said that Hamas is 1,000 times better than Israel, has said, I don't have an issue with Hezbollah, compared an Iranian-backed Houthi rebel to Anne Frank, and likened liberal Zionists to liberal Nazis. And he reiterated the JTA, I do still believe that Zionism is a racist ideology. Like, I genuinely believe that. The Anti-Defamation League's Jonathan Greenblatt recently called Piker one of the most outspoken, virulent anti-Semitic influences in the world. The stalwart pro-Israel Democratic Congressperson, Richie Torres, wrote to the heads of Twitch to express alarm about the amplification of anti-Semitism on Twitch at the hands of Hasan Piker, saying that he has emerged as a poster child for the post-October 7th outbreak of anti-Semitism in America. Such criticism has escalated Piker as a self-described Marxist and socialist becomes an increasingly influential player in Democratic politics. He joined rallies for Michigan Senate candidate earlier this month and has hosted several progressive members of Congress. Next month, the provocateur will appear in San Francisco with Shoikat Chakrabarti, a congressional candidate who says Israel committed a genocide in Gaza. His influence is beginning to extend beyond progressives, as California Governor Gavin Newsom, a leading 2028 presidential candidate, said he would appear on Piker's stream. Piker looks on as U.S. candidate Abdul El-Sayed delivers a stump speech. Speaking at Jewish Telegraphic Agency, in his first extensive interview with a Jewish news outlet, Piker acknowledged that anti-Israel activism can morph into anti-Jewish rhetoric, but also said he can't be responsible for what everyone in this movement says. He explained that he wants to combat anti-Semitism, in part because it undercuts anti-Israel activism. He condemned heinous violence against Jews, such as the Temple Israel attack in Michigan, but maintained that American Jewish organizations are fanning the flames and creating an atmosphere of hysteria. How does Piker reconcile the tensions and contradictions that radiate within his worldview? The answer is important, not just because his influence is rising, but because there are signs that a growing number of Americans already share some of his fundamental beliefs, that Israel is a malign presence in the world, and for the United States in particular, that the United States should stop sending aid to Israel, and that Israel's character and conduct explains the violence its people face from the likes of Hamas and Hezbollah. As American Jews adjust to a new reality in which contradictions law, yeah, you have to realize, like, obviously, this is the Jewish Telegraphic Agency. I'm not talking to an anti-Zionist, okay? This is not an anti-Zionist paper at all. This is a very much pro-Israel newspaper. This is perhaps one of the most important newspapers for Jewish syndication on the Jewish press in the United States of America. This, whatever I say to them, will go to all of the other like Jewish papers as well from this point on. It's like infinitely more relevant than, for example, Jewish Insider is. Jewish Insider is like very clearly an outlet that is entirely dedicated to smearing people who criticize Israel. Jewish Telegraphic Agency is like an actual Jewish newspaper. As American Jews adjust to a new reality in which old norms about anti-Semitism and the U.S.-Israel relationships are being shattered, Piker's vision is one that some warn Jews will need to increasingly grapple with going forward. Piker, though, says many Jews are on his side. There are a lot of young American Jews, at least in my community, who also feel this way, he said. They might be a little bit more shy about expressing their opinions in polite company. Yeah, this was for all the Jewish Hasan Abi heads out there, by the way. I was fucking coming... I was doing mama bear work for you so that you can have a normal conversation with your relatives in the future. JTA spoke to Piker several days before the attempted assassination of President Donald Trump and several cabinet members at Saturday's White House Correspondents' Dinner, an event that has prompted renewed concern about escalating violent rhetoric on both sides of the aisle. Some, including pro-Israel right-wing Jewish influencer Lizzie Savetsky, have attributed the shooting specifically to rhetoric promulgated by Piker. Born in Brunswick, New Jersey, Turkish parents, but largely raised in Istanbul, Piker got a start in Uncle Chunk Weigert's left-wing network, The Young Turks. In 2020, Piker left the company and launched a Twitch stream from his Los Angeles area home in West Hollywood that has now outstripped Uyghurs' influence. Damn, they just came after Uncle Chunky Weigert, saying Uncle Chunky Weigert's washed in comparison to your influence. Piker's comments about Israel are nestled among hour-long streams that touch on a wide variety of topics he labels as anti-imperialist and anti-fascist. That includes criticizing America, which he said deserved 9/11. Yeri Rosenberg argued in a recent piece that Piker exhibits, bro, come on, you talked to me for 2 hours. Why are you fucking giving insight from Yair Rosenberg? Jesus Christ. Anyway, Mao Zedong lamented the fall of the Soviet Union, noting that tens of millions of victims of the Soviet Union went unmentioned. Rosenberg is currently engaged in a back and forth with Piker after saying the streamer mischaracterized Albert Einstein's views on Israel, a symptom, he said, of a fast and loose approach to facts. Okay, the least you could do is put my response to Rosenberg, right? Which happened after this interview took place. Okay, what the fuck is this, bro? This guy is just like spamming. ContraPoints wants on. All right, man. She needs to get in fucking line. All right, there's a lot of people that want to come on. I'll have her on the stream. Shut the fuck up. I thought this was an interview. Yeah. Oh my god, bro. Oh my god. I can't believe Contra still has fucking shooters. Piker's hold on younger left-leaning audiences alternatively alarmed many liberals and made them envious. Wait, what? Some of the party have likened him to the right-wing firebrand Tucker Carlson or even streamer Nick Fuentes, known for his praise of Hitler and attacks on organized Jewry. He's broken with at least one significant Jewish ally, Ethan Klein, a progressive YouTuber with his own history of incendiary comments, used to host a podcast about the left with Piker. That ended shortly after October 7th, when Klein, who was married to an Israeli, sharply diverged from Piker on Israel. Today, Piker posted memes comparing Klein to Senator John Fetterman, the Democrats whose sharply pro-Jewish views the left sees as traitorous. But others see him in the potential to achieve an elusive goal, the Joe Rogan of the left. Largely male, disaffected voters to the Democrats through the force of his own charisma and unfiltered opinions. Jewish New York Times columnist Ezra Klein recently joined several other prominent liberal pundits in encouraging engagements with Piker and said the Twitch streamer was an anti-Zionist, not a Jew hater. Last week, Piker appeared on a Times Opinion podcast as a political commentator to argue in favor of a petty theft as a form of political protest. Look, man, I extended the olive branch. I tried to have a normal conversation. If they want to turn this into a hit piece, then, whatever. The big reason why I did this, for the record, was because I reached out to them so that we could do an interview. We talked for like an hour and a half. I gave them more than an hour of my time, and there's very little of the conversations that we had that are in this piece at all. It's just like boom, 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 boom. Hit after hit. Now, The irony, of course, is that the reason why I wanted to have this conversation, I wasn't expecting them to write a puff piece. But the reason why I wanted to have this conversation was because I was like issuing a warning, okay? Basically rehashing some of the warnings that I made at the Oxford Union speech, right? The exact same warnings that I gave at the Oxford Union speech that I thought I could reiterate to the Jewish Telegraphic Agency that has a lot of older Jewish readers who would perhaps understand like where I'm coming from, number one, even if they don't agree with me, and recognize why so many young American Jews also no longer agree with them, see Israel in a different way, right? Warning to them just sounds like a threat. No, the warning is that anti-Semitism is rising, and it's because of Israel. It's because a lot of Jewish institutions do present themselves unified in support of Israel. And you are teaching non-Jews in the United States of America and in the Western world the wrong lesson, a lesson that only foments anti-Semitism. It was two different things I wanted to talk about, which I tried to talk about. The conflation between Zionism and Judaism from our perspective, from the perspective of people in this community, both, young American Jews and non-Jews alike, like anti-Zionists in general, and why they hold the opinions that they hold about Israel and why it has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. You might not agree with that at the end of the day. You might not necessarily agree with that, but I think it's good to hear that perspective, right? Ultimately, it doesn't really matter, right? This is not this doesn't matter at all, because most people that are in the readership already have a negative opinion of me. So this only adds on to the fucking pile. It's not going to change anything, right? It's not the Mossad. Doors closed. Okay. Yehuda Kurtzer, founder of the liberal Zionist think tank, the Shalom Hartman Institute, disagrees with Klein to welcome Piker. He argues means embracing the changing of the goalposts in the acceptability of Jew hatred in liberal societies. Either way, Piker doesn't just want outreach. He wants to convince people of his positions. Chief among them is the Democratic Party should become explicitly anti-Israel. If there was a real expression of democracy in this country, yes, the Democratic Party would be the anti-Israel party, he told JTA. When it comes to his positions on the future of Israel itself, Piker described his ultimate goal as a secular, solitary state where everyone has equal rights and equal representation, Jews, Muslims, Christians alike. A state that would come with the Palestinian right to return, a Truth and Reconciliation Committee, and some form of reparations. But he was open, he said, to a binational solution in the region in the interim period, even if it's not the most moral from my perspective. He dismissed concerns that his vision would put Jews at risk. Once Palestinians were fully integrated into Israeli security apparatus, he said, they would simply have no further need for Hamas. He told JTA, I didn't say that. I said once Palestinians were fully integrated into the state, that there would be no need for militant resistance, or rather, if there was militant resistance, they would be treated as criminals in the regular criminal justice system. He told JTA that he sees himself as committed to combating anti-Semitism on his terms. In the conversation, he condemned some behavior that others on the left have justified or even celebrated. Anti-Semitism still exists. Heinous hate crimes still exist in the country, right? Synagogues being attacked, painting swastikas on the side of Hillel buildings, all this stuff. This is real anti-Semitism, and it's horrifying for people to experience because they're like, I want to go to my place of worship with my family, and now I'm worried that someone could just ram their car into it. No one should have to live like that. Yet he didn't walk back any of his earlier statements. He has previously apologized for referring to ultra-Orthodox Jews as inbred. Then there was the matter of anti-Semitism on the left. When first asked about it, he acknowledges its existence in softer terms. It is undeniable that there's been a shift for sure where people I think are not as careful in their expressions of the way that they communicate on these issues, he said. But he also described it largely as downstream effect of pro-Israel lobbying and American Jewish organizations that he said have created a force tying Judaism to Israel. Was that also true for the self-proclaimed anti-Zionist who said the Temple Israel and Michigan attack last month was a legitimate target for a man whose brother had been killed in an Israeli strike? Or the ones who were celebrating the murders of the Israeli embassy staffers outside of the Capitol Jewish Museum last year? I don't believe that, by the way. I don't think it's a legitimate target for the record, Piker responded. On his stream the day of the Temple Israel attack, he declared there's no justification for fucking trying to go into a synagogue and murdering kids. He chalked up left-wing anti-Semitism in part to it being much easier to get Americans on board with just hating entire populations than to actually be anti-imperialist, anti-genocide, and anti-fascist, unfortunately. But then he again said the biggest reason is the downstream effect of pro-Israel lobbying, along with, as he puts it, a lot of the Jewish advocacy organizations that claim to be Jewish advocacy organizations, but simply are Israel advocacy organizations, like the ADL and numerous others. Young people are upset with Israel's treatment of Palestinians, he said, are being taught by such messaging that they must be anti-Semitic, and some of them wind up believing it. Okay, good. At least they put this part in the fucking article later down the line. It creates an environment of panic and hysteria that serves the interests of Israel, he said. And I think it's actually not beneficial for American Jews at all. He acknowledged that not everyone on the left seemed to think that fighting anti-Semitism was a moral imperative. This will come across as maybe messed up, he prefaced. But the attitude from some is anti-Semitism is a problem. However, it's nowhere near as large as a problem as Islamophobia is. When it comes to his fans, he said, some people say, why should we care about this? He was not one of those people, he insisted, even if, in his estimation, anti-Semitism is no longer a systemic form of discrimination in America the way it had been in the pre-war period. Piker believes his stated interest, pre-war, by that I mean World War II or even post-World War II. I don't know why he said pre-war. I don't know if he thinks I meant like post-October 7 or something. I'm talking about like anti-Semitism used to be a systemic form of discrimination in the United States of America, but it's no longer the case. Piker believes his stated interest in fighting anti-Semitism sets him apart from anti-Israel streamers on the far right, including Fuentes, the avowed white supremacist Hitler fan, to whom a growing number of Jewish and political figures are comparing him. In Piker's case, his record speaks for itself. The same with Nick Fuentes. I don't need to go into detail about who they are or what they represent, Ted Deutsch, head of American Jewish Committee, told Jewish Insider last month. Neither of them belongs in the middle of the political process as a result of candidates choosing to put them there. Piker is insulted by the comparison to Fuentes. He thinks Jewish groups consider him a threat precisely because he's not Fuentes. That means, he said, that they may see him as a more persuadable, rational influence on young Jews. Nick Fuentes, we both know, is a neo-Nazi. He's a Holocaust denier, right? He's horrible. His worldview is repulsive, Piker said. He's not going to be able to get Jonathan Greenblatt's nieces and nephews to really reconsider their relationship with Israel. An ADL official sharply disputed Piker's characterization. The organization is warning about Piker, said Oren Segal, the ADL senior vice president. I love that line is now in the Jewish Telegraphic Agency. ADL senior vice president of counter-extremism and intelligence, because his praise of groups like Hamas and Hezbollah is normalizing them for his audience. I don't think Hasan Piker is offering a nuanced understanding. He's celebrating them. I mean, his favorite flag is Hezbollah, Segal said. He's giving them a voice and legitimacy, and I think that many in the Jewish community are concerned about. Is that unreasonable for people to be concerned when they hear that type of language? I don't think it is. First of all, you don't just say my language is concerning. You say I'm the most repulsive Jew hater in America. So don't fucking back down now. Okay, you're the ADL. You have put a target on me, a much larger target, as a matter of fact, than you have over Nick Fuentes. I'm just addressing why that's the case. Okay? Segal also rejected the claim that the ADL and other Jewish groups were contributing to anti-Semitism, as when Piker said, they're fomenting more anti-Semitic tendencies among the population by consistently refusing to separate American Jews from the state of Israel. Segal said that the view ignores the various ways in which we're combating anti-Semitism every day. He added, it's like saying an oncologist causes cancer. The ADL monitors hate of all ideologies, tracks in response to anti-Semitic incidents, and conducts research into anti-Semitism. But the group has also pulled back on some civil rights work following criticism from the right. And Greenblatt has, oh my God, JTA is even cooking the ADL a little bit. Greenblatt has defined anti-Semitism as a form of anti-Zionism as a form of anti-Semitism. A move that reportedly angered members of his own staff, some of whom quit the organization over what they say was an overt emphasis on pro-Israel advocacy. But Piker believes he's far from the fringe of sentiments among Democrats and even Jewish Democrats when it comes to his views on Israel. There's evidence of discontent on the front. A recent survey from the Jewish Federations of North America showed that about 7% of Jews overall defined as anti-Zionist. Almost as many tell-posters are Orthodox, and that figure was twice as high for Jews under 35. To that end, he said, he wants to build coalitions with liberal Zionists, the same group he had disparaged as liberal Nazis. Both his political hero, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, and up-and-comer he's intrigued by, Georgia Senator John Ossoff, are Jews who have voted to condition aid to Israel, even if they're broadly supportive of a two-state solution. That's fine with Piker, despite the fact that he once said you shouldn't even let someone be a fucking local dog catcher if they've exhibited any sort of positive feelings about the state of Israel. He told JTA He likes the stances that politicians like Sanders and Ossoff have taken to move the dialogue on the issue. He insists that despite his strong language, he doesn't see litmus tests the same way as many of his cohort do post-October 7, as more and more on the left have taken to freezing out Zionists from coalitions, not to mention public society in general. I'm a pragmatic person, he said. The way I see Palestine as a litmus test is not to say, oh, if you're not fully on board with this, you're evil and repulsive, and therefore I can never align with you in any meaningful capacity. Instead of insisting on anti-Zionists, he said, he looks for people who have sympathies that I think don't stand in the way of the conversation further into a more productive place, moving the conversation further into a more productive place. He pointed to the reaction of young Jews he knew in Georgia who were outraged after more than 50 Jewish groups, including several synagogues in the ADL, penned an open letter criticizing Ossoff's vote in 2024 to stop certain arms sales to Israel. There are people who are like, what is this? This doesn't represent me at all. Why are you using my name? Why are you using my religion to take this stance that I find to be unconscionable, he said. Piker is convinced that the Democratic Party wouldn't lose its strong base of Jewish supporters even if it became full-bore anti-Israel party. Liberal Jews, he thinks, would simply decide that their other concerns outweigh Israel. American Jews are American. If they were Israeli, they would live in Israel, Piker said. At the end of the day, American Jews have American problems, right? And I don't think Israel is as high of a priority. Perhaps I'm wrong, he mused. For many American Jews, they might even say, Hasan, how dare you say this? You don't know this. That's not the case. It's very important for me. And they'll go and vote for... And then they'll go and vote for American-related issues. He pointed to the election of New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, whom he had hosted on his stream, as a case in point. As an estimated 1/3 of city's Jews voted for him, according to exit polls. Fundamentally, Piker believes anti-Semitism is a distraction for the left. If you see what Israel is doing to be a problem, as I do, and you want to solve this problem, you have to dial in on the actual root of this problem, he said. And I find that anti-Semitism oftentimes is moving people to focus on Jewish people rather than the actual issue itself. Isn't he being disingenuous? ? After all, he talks about the movement building and claiming to fight anti-Semitism while also saying things he knows most Jews will consider anti-Semitic. No, I don't think so, he said, though he later added that he does fully understand why many Jews consider him anti-Semitic. That's why I'm having this conversation. He signed off soon after, popping up a few minutes later on his Twitch stream for the start of another session. His fans were tuned in early, waiting for him. I can't believe how much we talked. And they did put... Yeah. Noah thinks it was a lot more hostile than he expected as well. It's funny because we were yucking it up. We were laughing. We were laughing around. I even joked and said, you know, people are going to yell at me for doing this, but I think more people are going to yell at you on your side. And maybe he listened to what I had to say, and that's why he turned around and wrote a much more hostile article so that people wouldn't yell at him. I don't think you should have said that the last part. You were way too conciliatory. No, I mean, I had this conversation with Peter Beinart as well, where, look, from my estimation, there are a lot of Americans that have racist opinions, white supremacist opinions. It's not, you know, the way I see it is the same, okay? You got to convince racist people not to be racist. Zionism is a racist ideology, okay? And if there are liberal Zionists out there who are not going to set up hurdles in front of anti-Zionists in their organizing efforts, then I'm not going to immediately cast them aside. I'm not going to go after them first, okay? That's it. In this country, there are a lot of powerful people who are unbelievably supportive of Israel, okay? A lot of them are not Jewish. Plenty of Jewish people also are pro-Israel, however, to varying degrees. I think it's fine. Hopefully, if they get to the end of the article, they'll see it. They'll see, like, the good stuff, because he really fucking hammers on. Brace is selling you out for Bitcoin? He said I should be killed. He says capital should be killed, and the mainstream media gives him a platform. It's so disgusting. Will betray for 7 Bitcoin. DM. Hi. I'm writing this to let you know my wish is for you to have Brace Belden, aka Racial Jake, on the broadcast now that you're in New York, the concrete jungle where dreams are made of. It would be great to have some firsthand eyewitness accounts from the White House Correspondents' Dinner incident on there. Usually I'm in the chat being a nice and cute chatter, City, but today I ask you to make this happen, please. Peepo Shy. Anyways, much love and many thanks. Hustle. Yeah, half the article. I mean, it's kind of boring to just like do a sit down with me for like almost 2 hours and then just like put all of the other hit pieces that already exist in the fucking ether in that article, you know? Kind of sad, but what are you going to do? You need to move to New York purely to provide your platform to Brace Belden. Thanks. Racial Jake, a.k.a. Pisspick Granddad, a.k.a. the Gay Pussy Eater, a.k.a. the Gourmand. Editor boxed out hard. I mean, I could see that. Oh, yeah. Mike from Taiwan had a good lock here. Let's be real. He did. Yeah, Cold Force, it seems, was... he might have been a straight-up Sex Destiny fan, unironically. Yeah, this is a Ukraine-Israel kind of guy, I think. I thought he might be one of the Ukraine-Palestine kinds of guys, but it turns out I think he's a Ukraine-Israel kind of guy. The problem is they don't understand like that. They understand it as if you're saying you're kind of anti-Semitic, so don't give them anything. Okay, man, I'm 34-year-old media professional. Okay, I've been doing this for 10 years. Thank you for your concern, but I think I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because my policy is being honest unconditionally in an uncompromising manner, even if it offends the sensibilities of those who oppose me ideologically, those who don't understand what I'm trying to do, those who don't understand what I'm trying to say, even those who are aligned with me, right? That's it. Yeah, he's a Brianna Pooh fan as well, I know, which was really funny because Brianna Wu was the one who was chirping, being like, he's definitely a free Palestine guy. Your new setup sucks? Wait, why? I think it's dope. It looks nice, no? Look, I got books behind me, got a bottle of wine, a book that says New York, which is where I'm at. New York, New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. That kind of thing. There's nothing you can't do. Needs more ducks. Okay. Yeah, I retweeted this one. I was being a little petty here. I bet $1 million he's free Palestine. Cold Force retweets Brianna Wu. My position on Gaza is nuanced. My position on what's happening to Jews at home is not. This is no different than the KKK setting fire to crosses in black people's yards in my home state of Mississippi. Yeah, it turns out this guy was a Brianna Wu fan who quote retweeted Brianna Wu comparing the Free Palestine movement to the Klan. Don't listen to them. There's a John Mersheimer type background. You seem studious. Thank you. Why do so many people tell a 34-year-old man how to do his job? Some people out of annoyance, some out of parasocial desires, others out of an attempt to help. I know I'm fucking annoyed. It's unexpected. Honest reporting from pro-Israel media org. Like, how are you surprised? I'm not. I knew it was going to be contentious. I didn't realize that, look, when you give a journalist 2 hours of your time on an interview, on an exclusive that no other outlet has gotten, right? They need to, they would most likely use the information that they receive from said exclusive. He chose to basically use like 3 quotes from our 2-hour conversation and then slam the first half with like Daily Mail style editorialized hit pieces. It's a testament to, I guess, the way I held my own in that conversation. He was a fan of yours, haters. Yeah. Yeah, no, he was. He was a fan of all my fucking haters. He was pro-Israel to the fucking bone, by the way. Yeah. Anyway, not that it fucking matters, because obviously the truth doesn't matter, and people are still running with the fact that this guy who literally fucking hated me was exactly the type of liberal that despises me, that ironically was talking about how violent my rhetoric is these past couple of weeks because they're pro-Israel, they're Israel first liberals. It is unfucking believable that those What is it? Is Kash Patel sitting behind you in the cuck chair? Lower the camera so we can see him, please. Very important. Okay, don't do that right now. All right. Unfortunately, it seems about 80% of the article is written / decided before a conversation. Yeah, but, you know, it is what it is. Guys, it doesn't matter. You understand? It doesn't fucking matter. Jewish Telegraphic Agency writing another, like, Hasan is bad, Hasan is anti-Semitic article doesn't do anything in the sea of, you know, a million of those articles. Jewish Telegraphic Agency writing an article, putting my quotes and you know, the things I'm saying in a less contentious, or at least like more, I expect it to be contentious, but I also expect the Jewish Telegraphic Agency to be a little bit more, you know, a little less editorialized, right? So there is very little to lose here. There was very little to lose here from my perspective. Do you understand? A little bit more professional is my expectation. I thought it would be a little bit more professional. Who reads the Jewish Telegraphic Agency? It distributes its article to almost every single Jewish newspaper in the country. It's an aggregator. It has made defending you so extremely easy. All I have to say is you hate the guy that all the pro-Israel guys hate. So are you pro-Israel too? Is so effective. I mean, it is true, though. Most of those people that fucking hate me are pro-Israel, and that's a big part of the reason why they hate me. They'll lean into other shit. They'll be like, no, you don't understand. I hate him for this reason. I hate him for that reason. But let's be real. The real reason is because of Israel. There are a lot of people who are pro-Israel and increasingly more ashamed to admit that they're pro-Israel now that it's like a non-starter for many people, right? So they just have to like lean into other stuff. They'll be like, no, you don't understand. I hate him for this reason. I hate him for that reason. Let's be real. Let's have a normal conversation. All of those other reasons that you're bringing up are still usually fake, unless you're right wing, at which point, yeah, you know, it's totally fair for you to fucking hate me. I say a lot of shit about right wingers, Nazis, and the like, that are, you know, not going to be well received by Nazis. But if you're a liberal and you say you hate me, it's most likely because either you've been duped by a clip out of context by people who are malign actors, or you have a personal disagreement with oftentimes my position on Israel, and you're too afraid to admit that that is the real point of contention. Back in the day, you were readily admitting that shit, and now you're not. You get slandered as a terrorist, and your haters get labeled as an expert. It's all a joke, Lamau. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's Fox News. Come on. He was a turbo lube who also sucked at political analysis. I know he was turbo lube the fuck up. We already covered that. We'll look at all of his statements first. Let's look at another Fox News hit piece, and then we'll get into what the shooter's actual beliefs were.
So much when I hear that, and he's so not alone in this kind of rhetoric, is that it excuses away a violent, horrific crime, and also can inspire those who are unstable and ready to take action because they hear it as orders.
They hear it as orders, and I think that a lot of the folks that listen to that little waste of space twerp, Hasan Piker, they don't understand that he's monetizing this, by the way. So he's saying these things that maybe he believes, maybe he doesn't, maybe he adds an extra layer of filth on it for a little more money. They're making money off of saying these disgusting things, right? And so he sits there in his little podcast mic, and to me, he's a worthless waste of space. However, the First Amendment protects his right to be a worthless waste of space. That's why it's incumbent upon parents now more than ever to know what your kids are watching, to have honest discussions at home, make sure that they're not watching people like that and getting horrible ideas.
Little twerp is pretty funny. I'm 6'4", 240 pounds. Okay. There are not that many guys that look like me on the Republican side. Let's be real. Okay. Calling me a fucking little twerp is very funny. Michael Fusco Art, thank you for the 50 bones. God damn. Is it 50? 67 bones. 67. Oh, God. I'm sorry.
ideas in their head. I understand if you're 31 years old, your parents aren't going to have a lot of influence, but we need to have parents when kids are younger and most impressionable, making sure they know what their kids are consuming.
Yeah, and also there's this celebration culture over just the idea of something happening to the president and others in his administration.
And mockery.
And mockery. And Joey, there's this business you were going to tell us about in Wisconsin, kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah, so on that topic, I mean, you saw the things that came out about Charlie Kirk and how people mocked his death. And then you look over at President Trump, who I guess is enemy number one for them. And that's the problem, is that's what they truly believe. There's this guy's name is Kirk Bangstad. He owns a brewery in Wisconsin. It's called the Minocqua Brewing Company in Wisconsin. This is their tweet. It says, well, we almost got #Free Beer Day. Either a brother or sister in the resistance needs to work on their marksmanship, or he faked another assassination to get a positive news cycle. We'll never know. Regardless, we stand at the ready to pour free beer the day it happens. Cheering for, hoping for, offering an incentive to kill the president of the United States. This isn't just a brewery owner. This guy is running or ran for the State Assembly District 34 against a Republican. He's also, there are videos of him laughing, cutting it up with his friend who is a leading Democrat for the Wisconsin gubernatorial race. So that's how deep this goes. I mean, just like with Hasan Piker, the difference with President Trump is when he has a Nick Fuentes come into Mar-a-Lago and somebody says, hey, this is who this really is, he tells him to get out. He doesn't.
Okay. Yeah, Donald Trump dined with Nick Fuentes, who's a fucking actual neo-Nazi. I'm an open socialist, okay? I don't think socialism and Nazism are even remotely on the same fucking wavelength. There's no moral equivalence between the two, okay? That's number one. Perhaps that's the reason why I don't shy away from saying my personal ideology, okay? And he does. But the fact that he just brought this up makes it so like the fact that he brought this up on his own is so strange to me. He's like, well, you know, the president dined with the neo-Nazi and he was criticizing it. It's like, yeah, of course I am, because I'm anti-Nazi. I don't think the Democrats should be anti-socialist or anti-communist. I think that's fucking idiotic.
They dangle the carrot of, oh, you can reach these people. President Trump has a hard line, and it's not to consort with people that do these types of things.
Well, don't forget 8647. You know, Cardinal Comey's discovery out on a beach.
Just a prior FBI director.
Yeah, just happened to be wandering down a beach and see something like that. Again, if you play footsie with these ideas, I think you nailed it. You never know how some people will receive that information. They may see someone joking about it, whether it's a podcaster or someone else making light of the fact that there have been these attempts, oh, they just barely missed him. Someone else might get out there and decide, well, I won't. And this is the real sickness that's engulfed our political discourse in this country. We've got to stop it, and stop it now, because I'm really concerned, not just while he's in office. This may continue even after he's out of office, and this is not what we want for our country, because it won't just be this president, it'll be the next and the next if we don't nip this in the bud now.
Yeah, and Tommy, one last thing. I'm so concerned about the putting these suspects on pedestals, and I'm concerned that's coming as well.
Yeah, for some dark corners of the
Blanche, Patel, and Perot are live.
Weekend, they held signs that read "Death to Tyrants." And then you have leftist influencer Hasan Piker. He remains popular among Democrats,
what the fuck
even
is
as he
this?
faces backlash.
Wait.
Disregard the obvious.
Why can't I see the video?
Talk to O's, the man.
Wait, I don't know what you just linked me. Yeah, you linked me the wrong thing. But anyway, while we're waiting on that, here, let's take a look. This fucking moron, another sex pestiny orbiter, is straight up lying on the fucking timeline. Okay? Straight up lying on the timeline. The recent shooter was a Hassanoid, by the way. Nah, he hated Hasan. He was a fan of your circle. Why wouldn't you just own this revolutionary action against the bourgeoisie? Why are you straight up lying about this, says Andrew Mercado? I'm sorry, are you fucking taking Ben Shapiro's side here? You're an R-worded communist. Don't appear under my tweets again. Straight up saying he'd rather be aligned with Ben Shapiro than someone like myself. Okay? And it's I wasn't going to do this, okay? I wasn't going to fucking unleash the faucet of true information about the shooter's background. But if there's anyone who this shooter had sympathies towards, it's you, you fucking idiot. It's your ilk, okay? It's your radical centrist, pro-Israel Democrat ilk that this shooter was a major fan of. The classic Ukrainian flag in the bio slammed next to the Israeli flag in the bio type liberal that we've all seen on the fucking timeline, many of which who have actually deleted at least the Israeli flag from their bios in shame, even though they still hold tremendous sympathy, okay? And guess what? I said, not only did the shooter retweet criticism of me claiming I was promoting antisocial behavior on his way to kill the president, he also was a major supporter of pro-Israel liberals who spent the last 2 months claiming I was fomenting violence, Lamau, which is, once again, 100% true. Look, Cold Force, red triangles may as well just write bot in their username. I refuse to believe they are all real, and that's stupid. He's talking about red triangle in the pro-resistance Twitter. Retweeting no opinion. The Palestine protesters are, functionally speaking, Republicans. Retweeting Elon A. Levy. Again, the spokesperson for the Foreign Ministry of Israel at the time of his retweeting. This fake report literally sparked riots. Irresponsible reporting costs lives. Retweeting Olivia Giuliana. It isn't inappropriate behavior. It's rape. He's a rapist. He's a child rapist. Again, correct statement from Olivia Giuliana that's being retweeted by Cold Force here. But retweeting Brianna Wu. My position on Gaza is nuanced. My position on what's happening to Jews at home is not. This is no different than the KKK. Talking about the pro-Palestinian cause, equating the pro-Palestinian cause to the fucking Klan, okay? Do you feel like this guy was a fan of mine? Or do you feel like this guy is literally one of the people that was unironically claiming that I was fomenting revolutionary violence in this fucking country for the past 3 months, or at least for the past 2 months? Guess what? We don't need to speculate because he literally did quote retweet someone saying I was a fucking grifter who has no sincere beliefs, who just wants to promote antisocial behavior on his way to kill the fucking president. So I know exactly who this guy is because I've been dealing with exactly this guy for the past fucking 3 months. Retweet at Brianna Wu. America having the most lethal military on earth is why your superior Western values win and not a theocracy, an autocracy. Retweeting Dylan Burns. Ukraine's breaking the Russian naval blockade is one of the least covered victories of the war. Okay, that one is fine. That's like, not that crazy. Sarah Longwell. What is this? Or what? I don't know what this is. This might be anti-Sarah Longwell, to be fair. I'm sorry, but I'm not just going to give up. Retweeting Troubleman90, another one of my ops. I'm sorry, but I'm not just going to give up the last 85 years of... Dude, I want editors to post show the retweets that he's retweeting with posts of what these guys have said about me in the last 3 months. Okay? It took 1 second of me hearing this motherfucker's voice from a 2017 news hit to know that this guy was one of those like radical centrist liberals. Okay? I'm sorry, but I'm not going to give up on the last 85 years of civil rights and put my voting rights in jeopardy because 1% of the population of Michigan is upset over a decades-long conflict on the other side of the world that has nothing to do with me or my community. Yes, idiot, 1,000% yes. Simply voting would have saved this man. 6 conservatives on the Supreme Court refused to refuse to stop the executioner explicitly because y'all didn't vote. Harm reduction voter, maximum harm reduction voter. Adam Schiff barely beat his Republican opponent in the primary. I do not have confidence that he can win this seat in November. Therefore, I'm calling for Adam Schiff to step out of the race and allow party insiders to pick a new Senate nominee. Like, he was a massive Troubleman90 fan. What does Troubleman90 have to say? Virtually every single person that has been handshaking with the Republicans for the past 3 months almost now, claiming that I am responsible for the political violence of this country. This guy was your guy. This guy was a major fan of you. He was retweeting all of your fucking tweets. What do you say to that? He fucking hated me. He hated me. He loved you and he hated me. What the fuck do you have to say about that now? Huh? Unlike you, on the other hand, I don't think you are the reason why he did this thing, okay? Because I'm not a fucking asshole and I'm not a fucking idiot. But it's unbelievable that there are still people out there, unbelievable that there are still people out there trying to be like, oh, this guy was a Hasan fan, leaning into the fucking right-wing Republican propaganda. The growing chorus of Democrats raising questions about whether Trump won legitimately is now too big to simply ignore. Oh, he was saying, or what, to Sarah Longwell, saying, no, you should actually, because he was an election denier. Okay, the guy, Cold Force, he was like literally blue anon. He was the guy I was making fun of early on. Yeah, Destiny's community is now saying the attempt is based since they can no longer claim he was one of yours. Yeah, because these guys don't give a shit about anything. They don't care about anything. They're not serious political actors. All they care about is doing Gamergate-style disparagement campaigns against one person, me. That's it. That's all they give a fuck about. I know it sounds insane, but that's all this is. It blows my fucking mind, but that's literally all it is. Retweeting Kraut, even Kraut. The guy that people keep saying gave himself, like castrated himself or something, and then blamed tankies. I don't even know what that means. I remember in 2017, everyone was just like, oh, he won't be that bad. I was one of them. And then he was even worse. I mean, he was fucking tapped into the centrist libtard Twitter. Like, he was tapped the fuck in. If you're retweeting random irrelevant former Nazi fucking now turned reactionary liberal content creators, if you're retweeting them, like, you're out of your fucking mind. You can make out the $1 million check to The Nation magazine. Thank you for your attention to this matter. A, this is a screenshot. B, do you understand this was back when I believed your side lies? Don't make me defend and own the things I've said. I don't defend this. I educated myself and changed my mind after October 7th. This tweet is from 2024. Please make the arrangements to send $1 million check to The Nation. Oh my God. Brianna Wu is unbelievably disingenuous and so fucking stupid. Election denier, but voting would have saved us. Castrate self with CBT, blame the tankies. That's what the Kraut guy does, right? I can't believe this guy's Reddit account was seemingly the most like boring one. Yeah. This is the guy he was retweeting. Okay? This is the guy he was fucking retweeting nonstop. Here's a video of Hasan saying Kamala and Trump are the exact same. Notice how passionate he is. You truly believe this deep in his heart evil. Yeah, on the issue of Gaza. Okay? Sucks to suck, but it's fucking true. Yes, Brianna Wu is so fucking stupid that she's trying to say that her tweet equating pro-Palestinian protesters, campus protesters of the Klan is actually a pro-Palestinian tweet. Like, think about how insane these people are. Think about how fucking insane these people are. One of their guys goes out and tries to assassinate the president, and they're like, yeah, this must still be the radical left. These liberals fully admit they only care about you. What is this? I've been pretty clear about what I think about Piker's rhetoric, and I have mentions to prove it. But I do have an important observation about Piker. He's not the president of the United States. He's a Twitch streamer 80% of Americans haven't heard of. It's not the same. 100% agree. The reason I talk so much about Hasan is because I can't change the evil shit Trump does, but I can bully Hasan Piker and make him sad. So I engage in the activity that allows me to have a quantifiable positive impact in the world. Dude, you have to have zero self-reflection if you thought that posting this would somehow make you look cool or good. That's unbelievable. This is the most pathetic tweet I've ever fucking read in my entire life. You just openly admitted that you obsess over me because you have no fucking power. You recognize your powerlessness with the hopes that it might actually make me sad. Why would it make me sad? I'd be mad as hell if I looked like a Faz baby too. Oh my God. I mean, yeah, he not only behaves like a toddler acting out, but he also looks like a toddler. But it's just, that's a crazy thing. It's not going to work, buddy. It's not going to work. You are not even remotely the most consequential hater that I have. They don't think it's loser shit to do this. 1K likes, they're just smelling each other's farts. Yeah, but that's not even reaching like any salience here. This is not reaching any prominence either. Also, yeah, when you look like this, when you behave like this, you can't really bully anybody. Why do you want to be a bully anyway? But I guess this is like, I guess this is your opportunity to try and bully someone on the internet. I don't know. It's very strange, but, you know, I got bigger fish to fry here. I got fucking more consequential people to deal with, like the motherfucking entire Republican Party's media apparatus. Or an entire country's propaganda apparatus, the country of Israel. Well, I guess the country of America, too. Let's be real. Republican media is literally fucking state media. So that does make sense. Like, you should use... To the liberals who come in here, who are hate watching, like, please use all of the anger, angst, animosity you have towards more productive goals. Okay? Goals that will help you out in the long run. Lean into political organizing. Go outside. Please, Jesus Christ. Yeah, this is funny. Julian from Dropsite says, okay, fine, the shooter didn't like Hasan, whose rhetoric thus couldn't have played any role in motivating the attacks. But why would Hasan say things that would make the shooter hate him? Will Hasan condemn himself for making the shooter more angry than he already was? Yeah. I can't, it's unbelievable that this guy, it comes out that this guy is like straight up a fucking radical centrist, pro-no opinion, like, Ukrainian flag, Israeli flag in the bio type guy. Okay. Why is there no community note for Benny? Oh, this? Yeah, I saw. That's a lie. But hey, if you curse a lot, maybe people won't notice that you promote stealing, murder, terrorism, and communism from your multi-million-dollar mansion while zapping your dog. Yeah, he got fucking ratioed into oblivion. He was butthurt. Ben Shapiro posted this over Bernie Sanders' tweet. So I said, a literal terrorist credited you for his radicalization, you fucking loser. Which is true. And then he went, you zap your dog. I think there's a bigger story here about how your haters, especially since October 7, have been feeding their audiences an ahistorical alternative universe that radicalizes them to them being brain-dead liberals like Cole Allen. Yeah. I was kind of surprised this morning, even the dude at work that would salute the flag with his hat over his heart, with a single tear rolling down his cheek, while Trump cucked his wife, saying, thank you, sir, thought the White House Correspondents' Dinner was staged. Yeah, of course. Good luck. Yeah, this guy, Evan responds, you'd rather ally with Ben Shapiro than a communist? Unironically, yes. Because unlike the people further to the right of Ben, like Jack Posobiec or Libs of TikTok or any of the ride or die Trump dick suck, Shapiro is not nearly as toxic as any communist or anarchist or tanky or left populist or whatever. That's it. He doesn't realize what he's admitting here, but this is not actually favorable, okay? You will never be able to convince a Barbara or a Deborah of this reality, okay? Go talk to any white suburbanite Barbara or Deborah over the age of 65 that's a lifelong Democratic Party voter or recent Democratic Party voter, that the Antifa guys, the guys that wear the black masks that go after neo-Nazis and whatnot, or the pro-Palestinian crowd, are not their allies, but Ben Shapiro is, and watch their reaction. Those Barbaras and Deborahs will load up socks filled with batteries and beat you to death with it, okay? What the fuck are you talking about? These people unironically have real smoke for the Republican Party. The idea that you could just convince them that you have better allegiances with a goddamn fascist like Ben Shapiro, a pro-Israel fascist like Ben Shapiro, over people like myself who have not only worked alongside Democrats their entire fucking lives, but still continue to do so, is unbelievable. You have lost your fucking mind. You are engaging in Hasan derangement syndrome. That's what it is. You only arrive at this conclusion if your brain is poisoned by what you see online. I think some of these people are unbelievably unsalvageable. They've lost their dang minds so much. They've received an unlimited amount of like Hasan Piker is the most evil person on the planet style of commentary. And therefore, it's impossible for them to think clearly on this issue. They're just meat riding into oblivion, not realizing that that they don't have any fucking coalition in the liberal side. Does this mean that they owe you $1 million? Yeah. No, I told you. I bet $1 million he's free Palestine. He's not. I don't think these guys understand that. I don't think these guys understand where the actual population is. I don't think they understand where the resentments are for the independents. They think that if they present someone like myself in the worst light, that liberals will hate me and therefore hate the things I stand for, like Medicare for all, being anti-Israel, free college, like Bernie-style left populism. That's not going to happen. You might get a couple of them. You might convince a couple of them that I'm a bad person, but their attitude is not going to change. That's why Graham Plattner is fucking popping off in Maine right now, because Graham Plattner embodies all of those qualities, right? Graham Plattner is a candidate that is doing all that. Abdul El-Sayed is a candidate that is doing all that. And that's part of the reason why this kind of smear campaign, where I'm associated with people like Abdul El-Sayed, is not actually hurting the chances of these candidates. It's actually improving their standing. Because even with all of the negative pushback, even with all of the smears, it doesn't matter. People still go, hey, a lot of these people are yelling at this person because they're fucking... a lot of these people are yelling at this person because, you know, he's anti-Israel. I'm anti-Israel too. I've heard this kind of attack over and over again. I'm going to vote for the guy who's anti-Israel, who's like sincere on this issue. No, it's a personal issue with you. They don't have even 1% of the smoke for Zoran. It's an obsession. They're mad you were successful instead of their favorite streamer. Yeah, I mean, not all of these people are operating with the same fucking perspectives. But it's just crazy that these guys are like, these guys spent the past 2 months talking about how I'm fomenting hatred and fomenting instability and demanding violence. And then someone actually does, someone actually ends up doing the violence. They go, oh, see, we told you this is Hasan's fault, alongside alongside the rest of the fucking Republican media infrastructure. Do you think the smear campaign is successful? Fuck no. Do you think it's successful? You have to remember. Yeah, I promise you, these pro-Israel people that are attacking you are going to save your image from those that have been tricked and fooled by that group, because no one is more vile than pro-Israel ghouls. Exactly. You think it's bad that fucking Fox News is making me the poster boy of like the American left, saying I'm a dangerous person? No, of course not. Of course not. There's tremendous negative polarization against Fox News when they fucking constantly posterize me every single day of the week. You think liberals that see that are going to be like, well, I agree with Fox News? No, of course not. Most liberals are not that insane. The ones that actually see the Fox News coverage and go, see, even Fox News is agreeing with me and presenting it as a positive, are people who are brain broken, who think that like that liberals will see the Fox News coverage and go, wow, I guess I agree with Fox News. It's not going to work that. It doesn't work that way. It does the opposite. Some of the people who say you incite violence are calling the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooter based. Yeah, because they realize it's one of their guys. That's it. If the White House Correspondents' Dinner was a Hasan Abi head, they would have been running around talking about how dangerous and how violent of a figure I am in American politics, because the people that do this don't have any real politics. Their politics just revolves around the personal envy and angst and animosity of their favorite sex pest cult operating streamer, Destiny. Many of these guys are just orbiters of Destiny, even after it came out in a fucking civil court case that he was procuring child sexual abuse material. Okay? These guys have not given up. A guy who can't even take care of his own son, whose own son came out as a fucking neo-Nazi, is supposedly converting young men. Get the fuck out of here. He's not converting them to anything. He's converting them into being his personal cult slaves. This is what 7 years of cyber stalking and cult building around fuck Hasan, nothing can change, does to people. They literally have no solutions or ideas. So as things get worse, they resort to idiotic violence because in America, that's all people with no organization have. Yes, ironically enough. My dad hates you. I told him you're debating Sean Hannity, and he said, I guess it can't be that bad. See? It's a nihilistic cult. Also, he tried to fight the courts calling him a pedo and was denied by the judge. I haven't even been following up on this. But anyway, what do I always say? Ironically enough, so much of the commentary revolving around my analysis over structural forms of violence and the anger that it creates in response to people experiencing these structural forms of violence is to do what? Is to take that anger and channel it into organizing, channel it into more productive things. And perhaps that's the reason why, because there is a real discernible North Star, a real goal in this movement of making necessary changes in American politics, that people don't engage in adventurism, which I routinely talk about being unbelievably unproductive and bad overall for any sort of serious political movement. I've never been a fan of decentralized forms of violence. And as a matter of fact, that fucking New York Times conversation literally revolved around that. Okay? Alonzo Grimandi, thank God there's like at least some intelligent people out there, you know, college professors and the like, that are aware of my commentary and aware of the things that I say, that he had a decent opinion on this. He says, in a well-oiled democracy, there'd be left-wing mainstream outlets showing you Hasan the Hun in that same podcast saying he does not endorse killing CEOs, or maybe clips from his own stream stating his views clearly. But not in a plutocracy like the U.S. That outlet does not exist. You are witnessing the U.S. political elites disciplining the public, making sure it does not dare get curious about his views or how the structural violence of the system itself, dying over lack of healthcare, is justified as inevitable or even fair, natural, when it shouldn't. Polite society demands you condemn political murder, not social murder. On the contrary, it justifies it as your personal responsibility. People affected pick up on that contradiction, but do not have the tools to express it coherently, so they simply celebrate the murder instead. Understanding this process theoretically and providing that framework for coherent expression is not moral justification. It never has been. And Hasan the Hun has been very clear about this. He has even stated he believes in labor organizing as the most effective pushback, which I brought up in that conversation in the New York Times, but not a single person talked about it, right? That's what's so frustrating about it, because a lot of people at the point of incitement will turn normal systemic critique into something it's not, an endorsement of, like, you know, wanton cruelty, or an endorsement of fucking going out and like murking CEOs in the fucking streets. Here's the problem, though. A lot of people hear that and see that and might not even necessarily disagree with it. You don't want to live in that world where you are unironically celebrating decentralized acts of violence. I don't want to live in that world. That world is chaotic. I want to live in a world where there's stability, where there's prosperity for all. That's my argument. So even if you think you are in the short term, even if you are in the short term thinking that you're disparaging a prominent critic and a prominent critique of the nation state of Israel or billionaires and the current oligarchy that we exist under, what you end up doing is refuse to create a more productive outlet for a lot of people where they're just rudderless. They're left rudderless and they experience all the chaos, and there's no way to interpret that chaos through a framework that actually forces them into more productive and more viable solutions to fix that fucking chaos. So then they behave in a chaotic manner. They retaliate in an unbelievably chaotic way. Bum rushing the motherfucking White House Correspondents' Dinner to try to fucking kill the president and members of the cabinet, except for Kash Patel. This is what happens when liberals experience the anger and the frustration and are left rudderless. They're left with no pressure valve. They're left with no vote that could potentially help them feel like they're moving in the direction of a discernible solution. Okay, they vote for regular centrist corpo Dems, and then those corpo Dems don't actually improve their material circumstances, so they're left more angry than they were before. You asked for this, shooter repost one of your haters. I know. I already covered it. One of my number one haters, the shooter was in agreement with, including on the issue of Israel, ironically enough. So this shooter was a pro Ukrainian flag, pro-NATO, pro-Israel guy. This shooter was more likely to fucking kill me than the motherfucking president, if we're being real, depending on like the level of animosity that he had, considering the communities that he was a part of on the internet. Anyway, this is not a radical viewpoint by a crazy podcaster either. These are pretty well cemented critical views of violence in the state. Marc Neocleus in Britain, Jacques Rancière in France, Joy James in the U.S., among many others, have made this point over and over again. So Hasan has clearly read them and done his homework. It's easy to pick up on his words if you know the literature. CNN, Fox News, and mainstream punditry either have not or have, but don't want people accessing these views. No, they don't. They don't do any fucking... Their worldview is unbelievably nearsighted. Their worldview is hermetically sealed in the neat little confines of neoliberalism. There is no world where they reach beyond that analysis. Back in the day, I think, right-wingers used to do that. Okay? They used to. I'm glad you were making a solid connection to the cyber stalkers who prepped all these hate clips over 7 years in hopes they'd reach mainstream media. Yeah, and now that it has, what has that done? Nothing. So please, I urge all of the cyber stalkers, it's been a 7-year process. Just give up and work on something more productive, please. I beg of you. I promise you, you will be healthier and happier. Funnily enough, the reason why the right wing has been able to do so well with culture wars is because Bannon read Gramsci and applied counter-hegemonic theory to culture war bullshit. I know. That's it. Bannon is one of the better read Republican demons, ironically enough. It's incredibly frustrating to see people, even people who frankly should know better, fall for the bad faith political operation to make you think this guy's a potential murderer and not someone who's simply translating foundational critical thought to a Gen Z Twitch audience. This guy is a perfect example of a liberal who refuses to see it. He could very easily put out a very quick vid clarifying he doesn't endorse killing CEOs, and right now it'd have no problem getting widely circulated. He probably doesn't endorse killing CEOs either, but it'd be death to the brand he's cultivated to admit that, like some school marm. He says it in the podcast, but no one is curious enough to watch it. Either that, or they're just ignoring it because it doesn't fit the narrative. A lot of these controversies have YouTube vids dedicated to them. A good example is the Rick Scott statements, and yet it's still brought up. Clearly, one of his 10 million dogged defenders should edit the clip down and push it out, like they couldn't, for some reason, do with his endorsement of Harris. I even added the time, 110, where he explains the Rick Scott comments in the first vid you get on his clip channel and type Rick Scott. The problem is people don't care to look, even when we present them with this. Thanks for the timestamping, but this doesn't say the Mangione killing was wrong. I was referring to the mention of him on our video of the Rick Scott and not the stop people, blah, 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 blah. I have to thank you for providing that citation from the very end of a new 35-minute show. You spent time researching that I wasn't willing to, so points to you. But that was an exceptionally weak, reluctant, one-word answer, arguably more on whether he'd do it than if it's right or wrong. See? When he is faced with what he was looking for, from the very same primary source, that same interview where they asked me straight up, would you kill a fucking CEO or do you endorse the killing of CEOs? I say, no. And he still goes, you spoon-fed it to me, but I still think it's weak. It's a goalpost shift, right? This guy isn't just dealing with some of you guys in the chat as well. He's dealing with Alonzo Gourmandi as well. Alonzo Gourmandi literally turns around. Gourmandi says, you mean this video with 146,000 views on YouTube alone, not his biggest audience, that not one media outlet has shared? You guys exist on a parallel reality where it is not on TV or in the YouTube channels of TV shows, it doesn't exist. Do the homework. You need to join the 21st century. He does not need to join the 20th. 20th century media will not show you the information you need to be informed. Ugh, did you have to show me a picture of it instead of linking to it? Yes, because the Nazi saluting owner of the Free Speech Absolutist website, blah, blah, blah. And then he links to it. A 40-minute clip? That's unfair. I've never been able to listen to Hasan Piker for more than 3 minutes at a time, even if I was only watching for the sake of his dog. If this is a big deal for him, he'd cut it down to 90 secs. No fair. Now that you linked it to me, well, it's too long. I don't wanna. I mean, he's not being lazy, by the way. That person is not being lazy. That person is being contentious. That person's goal is not to arrive at a productive conclusion here. That person's goal is not to arrive at the truth. That person's goal is to simply keep annoying people and win some sort of Pyrrhic victory in the process. Schrodinger's Presence, thank you for the 25 Tier 1 gifted subs. Yes, he is obtuse by design. This is what a lot of people do. Yeah, he's a Sex Destiny fan. Of course he is. He doesn't have... The thing about Destiny is he doesn't really have a large audience anymore, but he does have a very loyal cult. And many of his loyal cult are like in, you know, neoliberal groups and things like that. So they get a lot more motion. Not him, but at least his like fans can you know, brigade shit. They're always online and they create like an outsized influence that they do not actually have, right? What is this? Yeah. Oh, here it is. Yeah, he's just like constantly. It's controversial to say how much violence at large protests just outside of a border makes it too bad. Extremists of any sort can only view tragedies as opportunities. Yeah, he's a fucking fan of Destiny. It's just crazy because, like, for an audience that claims to care about arriving at the truth through testing their ideologies in the marketplace of ideas, right? It's unbelievable when they're faced with like information that corrects the record. They go, nope. This professor of resistance history gives such a profound analysis.
Night, within just minutes after shots rang out at the White House Correspondents Association dinner where Trump was in attendance, Democrats were already posting that what had happened was an act of political violence that everyone must condemn. Even before anyone knew the name of the alleged shooter, Democrats across the establishment were telling you the same thing that Trump wants you to think about it. It's an act of political violence which has no place in a democracy. Well, that's all fair enough. But before we even know his name, they could tell you what was on his mind? Why be so quick about it? Why choose to immediately classify it as political violence? What work is that doing right now in our politics and political culture? We can start with this. It's not condemning political violence. It's creating a boogeyman they can invoke to set the terms of legitimate resistance. Hey folks, I'm Todd Sturmer. I'm a public historian and the author of A Resistance History of the United States. By the time I stopped counting, I had seen more than 50 posts from across the Democratic establishment. Senators, House members, governors, mayors, the operators around them, the talking heads who do the amplifying, all hitting the same 5 beats in more or less the same order. Express thanks that no one was harmed, salute law enforcement, classify what happened as political violence, condemn political violence, invoke democracy. Check your own feed right now. You're going to find it. The wording shifts a little. The priorities don't. They all got the same push alert. The first 2 beats are pro forma these days, like thoughts and prayers. But the last 3 are different. They're a choice, a particular choice, a coordinated choice, made before anyone could possibly know what had happened, all reaching for the same vocabulary at the same time. What makes the forced consensus so jarring is how wildly disconnected it is from the actual public conversation. While the establishment locked arms around their script, the rest of the country's feed fractured instantly into 2 competing realities. The right immediately seized on the chaos to argue this is exactly why Trump needs his $300 million secure ballroom. Meanwhile, massive segments of our public took one look at the breaking news and immediately asked whether the whole thing was staged. Those competing narratives, a reflexive grift on one side and the deep disbelief on the other, tells you a lot more about the actual state of our democracy than any coordinated social media posts. But here's something worth remembering about presidents getting shot at in this country. The famous lone wolf cases of the last 100 years or so have mostly not been driven by anything you would call a coherent political program. The clearest example happened at exactly the same place. John Hinckley fired 6 rounds at Reagan outside the Washington Hilton in 1981, trying to impress Jodie Foster. The pattern is not necessarily the absence of politics, but maybe the collapse of politics into fixation, pathology, parasocial obsession, and a grandiose belief that one person is the problem and removing them is the answer.
What is that Tylenol mode? It's the Dr. Jihad. It's the Dr. Jihad. The doctor is in session. Dr. Jihad has prescribed you to eat the Tylenol. The Tylenol that is a solution to all of your anxieties.
There's a studied psychology to it. Individuals do not reach for it unless they've decided every other channel is closed to them. Not actually closed, but closed in their heads. They've reduced their world to a single face. Remove the face, fix the world. Nobody else is going to do it, so I will. But as far as resistance history is concerned, it's also the worst possible form of anything you would want to call political violence. And it's not what political violence means inside any serious resistance. Lone wolf violence isn't resistance. It's what someone does after he has stopped believing in resistance and collective.
Yes. I mean, he is addressing adventurism. This is what you do when there's no more outlet, when you have no more belief in a productive way to deal with the issues that you're facing.
Action. Real resistance understands that abuse of authority is structural, that removing one functionary produces a replacement functionary, that what has to be intervened in is the apparatus itself. It's in the Declaration of Independence, the right of the people to alter or abolish destructive governments, not alter or abolish people, alter or abolish the structure. Direct action is intervention in the abuse, not violence as an outcome. It's making the mechanics of abuse costly, slow, and impossible for the people running it. Escalation is a calculated tool used only when every permitted channel has been foreclosed. Isolated violence is not how serious resistance movements build the capacity to act at scale, to push back abuse operating at scale, like across a nation. Because it's a strategic disaster. It often triggers crackdown that damage the very movement trying to change the structure. Resistance organizers have learned this from history, particularly on the left, and they've learned it expensively. So when Democrats across the establishment reach for political violence within minutes of an event they cannot possibly have understood yet, they're accomplishing 2 things. First, they're inflating a lone act into a strategic threat that almost certainly was not its origin. But the bigger point for resistance is the second one. They're flattening the entire spectrum of opposition. By characterizing an armed charge at a hotel checkpoint as political violence, the Democratic establishment creates a massive rhetorical umbrella. But once that umbrella is open, it becomes remarkably easy to sweep any unsanctioned, disruptive political action underneath it. Anything they don't filter and organize and promote as their own. They intentionally conflate the image of chaotic desperation of a lone gunman with the organized, strategic escalation of actual resistance movements, the kind of patient structural work that has historically changed conditions in this country. So the intended effect is to preemptively discredit all opposition that isn't theirs. They are the legitimate opposition. They are the defenders of democracy. Anyone else, by definition, isn't. They get to call those shots, and only them. Whatever anyone else is doing to oppose Trump and MAGA.
Taserface, I didn't hear you condemn murder today. See next message. I'm unsubbing, and my last message is why. As always, 10 Am Israel Chais, Am Israel Chai, 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 Am Israel Chai.
Tomorrow's news today.